Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Seahawk Recap Show. Seahawk game recap for the season opener of the regular season for the 2023-2024 season versus the Los Angeles Rams. And oh man, the I guess the infuriating part of being a Seahawks fan is this game in a nutshell. Playing down to your competition. But it is my job as the game recapper of this channel to go through every high and every low of this season. So if you liked this video, please give it a like. If you really liked it and wanted to see more content from me in the future, please consider subscribing and share with your Seahawks uh, family, friends, and all that, and just people that in generally like football in general, because that gets them to the channel, and you'll get more reactions like this in the future. But let's get in to the meat of the episode, and let's talk about this disappointing affair for a season opener versus the Rams. Well, game summary. Rams win 30-13 over the Seahawks at Lumen Field. Oh, I have to do this, don't I? Well, let's get started. The Rams had 426 total yards, 334 passing yards, 92 rushing yards, 5.5 yards per play, 27 first downs. They went 11 for 17 on third down efficiency, went 1 for 1 on fourth down, had 78 total plays, no sacks, one punt. They had 7 penalties for 53 yards, no fumbles, no interceptions, and had 39 minutes and 23 seconds of possession time. On the other side, you've got the Seahawks, and we had 180 yards total with 95 passing yards, 85 rushing yards, 3.9 yards per play, 13 first downs. We went 2 for 9 on third down efficiency. We didn't go for it on fourth down. We had 46 total plays, 2 sacks allowed, 4 punts, 7 penalties. Again, if you watch the recap of the preseason when I was doing preseason recaps, you'll know that I talked a lot about penalties and wanting to bring that number down. But we had 55 yards given up due to those penalties, 0 fumbles, and 0 interceptions thrown. So that is a positive. But we had 20 minutes and 37 seconds of possession time. So just all around, not a great showing. But Ryan's focus players. Let's talk about the Seahawks, shall we? Let's talk about quarterback Geno Smith. He went 16 for 26 with 112 passing yards, 1 touchdown. Kenneth Walker, one of the few bright spots I found in this game, had 12 carries for 62 yards, 5.3 yards per play, and 0 touchdowns. And wide receiver DK Metcalf, he did some puzzling things in this game, kind of getting a little heated, kind of made some rather questionable penalty with the unsportsmanlike on Witherspoon when he hit him and then mouthed off to the refs. Just something you don't want to see from a guy that is a leader on this team, whether you think of him as that or not, but he is a leader on that offense. He had 3 receptions for 47 yards, 15.7 yards per catch, and the 1 lone touchdown from Geno Smith. On the other side, the Rams, man, you got to give them their due. Even when you're a Seahawks fan, you have to admire the things that Matthew Stafford did. He went 24 for 38 with 334 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And then we talk about this guy who I didn't even I didn't even know existed. I didn't know they had him on the roster, and that's not me being mean. That's just me being oblivious. Williams, he carried the ball 15 times, had 52 yards, had 3.6 yards per carry, and had 2 touchdowns. This man was a beast. In his debut, you gotta again give it to him. He had 2 touchdowns. That's great for him. And then we get the rookie. We get a rookie here. No Cooper Cup for this game, so they had to rely on Tutu Atwell, a second-year player, and this guy Puka Nakua. He had 10 receptions for 119 yards. He averaged 11.9 yards per reception and had 0 touchdowns. And man, this guy, like I'll talk about later, just burnt everybody. Uh, and you know what? Give him his due, man. He really showed up. But let's talk about the defense, shall we? And let's talk about the Seahawks defense right now. Jared Reed, man, for a guy that's supposed to be here to stop the run, that's exactly what he tried to do. Even with Kyrie Williams' 2 touchdowns, they at least tried, man. The defense at least tried to stop the run, and it's getting better. But Jared Reed had 2 solo tackles, 1 assisted tackle, 0 sacks, 0 interceptions. And a lot of people online were calling for this guy's head. It is Trent Brown, corner. He had 5 solo tackles, 1 assisted tackles, 0 sacks, 0 interceptions. But this man, he, again, like I said in the preseason, sometimes he would be a really great tackler. He would make open field tackles. He would get better at it. And then sometimes he just wouldn't wrap up. And the biggest problem I was having with him in this game specifically was um, Pekka was just running the show with him. Trent Brown was losing his footing. He was a step behind everybody else. And you can't have that. That shows me that he is not number 2 corner material. It is not something that you like having. And Seahawks corners are known to, uh, have games where they're just a step behind. And these weren't even really the starters for the Rams. So you know what? I just hope Trey Brown gets better as the season goes on. It's the first game, so I'm a little bit gonna give him some leeway there, but again, just needs to be better. But let's talk about another big bright spot. It's Bobby Wagner, man. Middle linebacker. Oh, again, if you know this channel and if you know me, I am a big Bobby Wagner fan, and I'm so happy he's back with the Seahawks. And he was a tackle machine. 9 solo tackles, 10 assisted, 0 sacks, 0 interceptions. And you know what? He did all he could, man. You're expecting him, Jordan Brooks. They had decent games, and it's just the secondary that needed a little bit more help in that regard. But on the Rams side, you've got a guy who said at the beginning of the season he needs to prove himself again. For whatever reason, he thinks he needs to prove himself again. And Aaron Donald, I don't think he needs any introduction if you're a fan of football. Even if you're not a fan of football, I know, uh, hopefully, that people know who Aaron Donald is. And he had 2 solo tackles, 2 assisted tackles. He had half of a sack and 0 interceptions. So on the stat sheet, he doesn't look great. But look, if you watch the game, if you watch this, which I'm watching every single Seahawks game of the season, whether it's a win or whether it's a loss. But he was a menace. He was getting through that offensive line. He knows how to do it. He's one of the best in the game at interior line pass rush, and he showed it there. He was getting in Geno Smith's face. He was causing pressure for Geno Smith, and that's why the offense kind of didn't show up as much as it should have. It's just Aaron Donald. But you got to look at the DBs as well. And this is safety Jordan Fuller. He had 3 solo tackles, 5 assisted tackles, 0 sacks, 0 interceptions. Another guy just making tackles, man. They're wrapping up. And again, what are some of the things that people were saying when you have a good defense? How do you make a good defense? Well, it starts off with the basics: tackling, tackling your guy on a spot, making sure he can't get yards after catch, making sure that all of this is condensed because that is what's going to make your defense great. If you're a good tackling team, your defense will improve. And Jordan Fuller really made the most of it. And another guy, middle linebacker Ernest Jones. He had 4 solo tackles, 5 assisted tackles, 0 sacks, 0 interceptions. And he is a guy that I really like for the Rams. And again, just a solid tackler, not many mistakes. It was fun to watch, but as a football fan, but as a Seahawks fan, it was just complete and utter anguish because you can't get anything past these guys. But let's talk about my final thoughts, shall we? Let's talk about what went well, if anything went well, really. As I say here, there wasn't many positive things to talk about when it came to this game in particular. But if I had to choose one thing, the offense in the run game, when it was allowed to operate, in Kenneth Walker specifically, did pretty well in this game, all things considered, even with the injury to both tackles, like left tackle and right tackle. That's Charles Cross and that's Abraham Lucas. And they're now using backups in Ryan Curhan and Stone Forsyth. And even when that was there, they were there in that spot. He did all he could. And being down and having drives stall out because you can't really get a game plan on these guys was one of the reasons why the defense didn't hold up as much as it did. And also, I wanted to talk about the defense. The run game, say what you will about the 2 touchdowns, say what you will about, oh, well, they allowed 3 touchdowns on the ground, 2 to Kyrie Williams and 1 to Cam Akers, but they really didn't allow so much yardage. They allowed a couple of big plays here and there, but you're expecting that from a defense that wanted to prioritize stopping the run. Now, if we can just prioritize stopping the run, but not forgetting how to play defense on the secondary level, that would be great. And I think that's, again, leading into a segue on what to improve on. There's a lot of things that we need to improve on, especially when it comes to the secondary. I talked about it in the focus players. Trey Brown. Not only Trey Brown, but like Tariq Woolen, Quandre Diggs, those guys need to be better. They really just do. You're looking at an issue where you're just not making the plays. There are a couple plays in there where the rookie wide receiver, he's a rookie, and you're just looking at it and you're looking at the zone that they were running in dime, and they're just leaving guys open. They're leaving them open, wide open, soft cushion, whatever you want to call it. That can't happen. You cannot have that happen. And people are calling for um, the coaching staff, like Pete Carroll, like the whole coaching staff, not even just Pete Carroll, but Clint Hurt in specifics. I don't think we need to go that far. I don't think we need heads to roll right now. Remember, it is the first game, and that's what I'm going to talk about with my final thoughts. Even though I'm pretty heated about this game, and you could probably tell this is probably the most animated you're going to see me throughout the entire bit here. No promises though. Uh, I'm going to give the Seahawks a bit of a pep talk right now. It's only the first game. Take a breath. Take a breather. Again, this is what you signed up for when you're a Seahawks fan. You didn't sign up for easy games. If you wanted to sign up for easy games, you would have been a Chiefs fan. But you're a Seahawks fan. We've got to be loyal here. We don't need to overreact after every loss. That's not how we should be doing this. We shouldn't be happy with every loss that we take, especially in this because it was 30-13, but just chill. They underestimated their opponent. And to be honest, I would too. Honestly, I really would, because you're not expecting Matthew Stafford after the season that he had last year, after what the Rams went through last year. They were defending Super Bowl champions and they went 5-12, I believe. And that's just insane. But you underestimate your opponents. And when you underestimate your opponents in this league, you will have games like this where you will lay an egg. And this has happened a couple of times, but I think if we stick with Pete Carroll and we stick with people like we've done over the years, Pete Carroll is not a bad coach. Let me just say that outright. Anyone that is saying that Pete Carroll should retire or anything like that, I will defend this man till the cows come home because he has had one losing season. It was the last Rush era, and it was a bad season. Okay, but that's his only losing season with the Seahawks. He had made the playoffs every other time. Had he done really well in the playoffs? No, not particularly, but he had made it to the Super Bowl. He had won the first Super Bowl right here. The picture right behind me had won that Super Bowl, and he had made it twice with the Seahawks. He had lost once, but he had made it twice, and he won one of them. That's the first in Seahawks history. He is the most winning coach. He is the best coach in Seahawks history. So anybody saying that he needs to be fired and get with the times, he hasn't done anything absolutely awful. He might make you want to pull your hair out in the moment, but I guarantee you, if you just stick here and let this play out, again, it's really cliche what I'm going to say, but trust the process. I know what it's like to have bad defenses. I understand what it's like to be a Seahawks fan because I am one. I understand the amount of passion we have as fans, but we need to just take a breath, prepare for next week against the Lions. And I think that's what Pete Carroll is now going to preach. That is what Pete Carroll is going to preach to these guys. Okay, guys, that was a really bad game. We need to be better and we need to prepare for the Lions. And I want this team to succeed. And I know you do too. But making heads roll right now is not a way for succeeding to happen. That's not how we're going to do it. Anyways, this has been the Seahawk Recap Show, game recap number 1, week 1 of the regular season. And oh, what a game to start off. Again, just take a breath. It's a long season, man. If you blow all your gaskets at once at the beginning of the season, you won't have any left to blow up at the end. So just take a breath. It's okay. This is Ryan Koki for the Seahawk Recap Show, signing off. Let's go, Hawks. Go.